Hey, what's up? It's Scotty Matthews along with Frank Space. Time for another 2-minute drill on 1520 KOLM The Ticket. We have the Med City Mafia ladies in studio today. We got Pirate Queen and Ken's with Benefits. How are you ladies doing today?
Doing great. Doing good.
So glad you ladies can make it back into the studio. Now, I understand you have another bout later this weekend. What time does that start?
The doors open at 6 o'clock and the whistle blows at 7.
So far on the air, you are 4-4. You ladies happy with where you're at so far, or?
I think so. There's always room for improvement, but yeah, we've been doing pretty great for our first year as a full WFTDA member league.
Now, what is that? People might not recognize what that means.
Stands for Women's Flat Track Derby Association.
And within there's 369 full member leagues, and we've just kind of slid right in there, working our way up the rankings. We're pretty excited.
So I guess one of my big questions is, and we talked about this a little bit off mic, but playoffs. Do you try to fight for a playoff spot, or there's a championship? But I mean, how does that work towards the end of the season?
Yeah, that would be amazing. Right now, we don't have an official ranking, but if you are ranked between 1 and 60, then you are put into a division in which you're eligible to play off. And the playoffs start in September and go through the championship, which is in November, early November.
What are the highlights for you guys for the season so far?
I don't know about so far, but we actually got into a big tournament here coming up July 9th and 10th. It's called the UFTA Palooza, and it's in Wausau, Wisconsin. It's going to be a full weekend of 2 days of derby.
How many games will you guys play during that time? Any idea yet what that's going to look like?
We'll be playing, it looks like 3 games all in one weekend, so it's going to be pretty busy for us, but we're really excited.
What are some of the biggest challenges of being involved with roller derby?
For me, I guess the biggest challenge is just having such a busy schedule, because a lot of us, we all work full-time, then we're expected at least 2 nights of practice, and then games. This month has been super busy. We've had a game every weekend this month.
What do you all work on with practice and stuff? Like, what are some of the routines? And
we start off with a warm-up where we just get used to being back on our skates, so a lot of transitions and different kinds of stops and hitting and everything like that. And then we'll move into different work in our walls, which is more of like working on defense, trying to stop the jammer from getting through. The jammer is the player with the star on her helmet.
And then we get into some strategy, different plays, different starts, what to do if we're down players, what to do if we don't have a jammer on the track, which happens because of penalties. A lot of penalties that you have to serve at least 30 seconds in the penalty box if you get called.
Are you girls leading the league in penalties? Is that what you're trying to say?
I have a tendency to throw elbows, which is illegal. So
would you call yourself a dirty player?
Not
Pirate
on purpose.
Queen?
Not on purpose.
I would not say so, no.
How does the scoring work? I'm not super familiar with roller derby. I see some of the scores and I think, well, so are there different ways you can score? Do they count for different points? How does the scoring system work for roller derby?
Sure. Well, basically, there are 4 players on the track called blockers and 1 player called the jammer from each team. And every time the jammer passes a blocker's hips, they score 1 point. And so the first pass is just to establish who the lead jammer is, and that's that person gets to call off the jam. And then from there on, it's all about scoring points until 2 minutes elapse or the jammer decides to call off the jam. So it can be one jam where one team might get 30 points and the other team gets nothing, and the next jam, it's 4-4. It's kind of hard to say, but the points can rack up really quickly, and just because you might be down by about 30 points doesn't mean very much in the game, because one more jam and that can even up the score.
Wow, cool.
I've always pictured roller derby as just like a mobile Red Rover game. Is there more to it than that?
Well, there is a little more strategy, but yeah, it is a series of offense and defense at the same time.
Because when you send in the jammer, I just picture, you're holding up that wall with your blockers.
Yeah, when we talk about walls, we're talking about like our 4 blockers. They're hip to hip, shoulder to shoulder, and then that's what the other team is doing as well. So a blocker's job, which I'm a blocker, it becomes getting our jammer through the pack while blocking the opposing jammer. So you're playing offense and defense at the same time.
Are you allowed a certain number of blockers and jammers on your team? How does that work when you fill out the roster?
No, there aren't really parameters for which positions.
Okay.
But it's a total of 14 players for the bout, and then there's only 5 on the track at a time from each team.
How does substitutions work? You sub on the fly, or are there set breaks where you can rotate players in and out?
Well, a game is 2 30-minute halves, and each 30-minute half is broken into a 2-minute jam. So then, at the beginning of each 2 minutes, you'll start with a fresh 4 and a new jammer.
I'm learning a lot here, because, I've seen it on TV a couple times, in just passing, but, I've always been intrigued by it.
It is very fast-paced. There's 30 seconds in between jams, but that just goes by like that.
I'll bet.
you wouldn't think you have that much time to reset or anything. And yeah, we try to have our lines prepared so that the next group of blockers and jammers are all ready to go as soon as the previous jam gets called off.
Kind of like in hockey, it's just a line change then, I suppose.
Yep, exactly.
Okay. See, I'm using other sports to compare to what's going on here. So how can we look you up on Facebook? How do we reach you you got a website?
MedCityRollerDerby.com is our website, and you can also find us at Med City Mafia on Facebook.
So what time do you guys start then? Saturday.
Doors open at 6 on Saturday, and the whistle blows at 7.
All right.
Tickets, I think we still have some at the Wicked Moose. If you want to pick up pre-sale tickets, they're $10 then at the Wicked Moose, or $12 at the door.
Pirate Queen and Ken's with benefits. We appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
Good
Thanks
luck
for
on
having us.
Saturday.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you.
Stay out of the penalty box. And that'll do it for this edition of the 2-Minute Drill on 1520 KOLM The Ticket. Be sure to like us on Facebook, 1520 The Ticket, and also check out our website, 1520theticket.com. Until next time, I'm Scotty Matthews. That's Frank Spaeth. Bye-bye.